Welcome back to my channel, Just Doing Great Things. Today is another fantastic recipe. We're going to make cinnamon rolls. Now this recipe I will post with the video down at the bottom. I've got a full recipe and I've got a half recipe. You know, not everybody needs that many cinnamon rolls. I also down at the bottom have the recipe for making these into chocolate cinnamon rolls, which are really awesome also. But today we're going to go with the full recipe. I'm going to make a quick disclaimer for this video. I am not filming in the location I most generally film these indoor videos. It was not a possibility today, so I had to resort to what I had. And so what I have is a location that's very loud and a lot of noises, so I was unable to do the voice, do the sound while I'm creating the video. So what I'm going to have to do is add in the speaking parts in a more quiet setting so that you can actually hear what I have to say. I apologize for that, but this time I just don't have any. I don't have any choices. So you know, I'm sorry it's not the highest quality. I want to make quality videos, but it's going to have to do this time so that I can get this video out. Thanks. Alright, the ingredients for a full recipe include 1/2 cup of warm water, right around 105 to 110 degrees, 2 packets of active dry yeast, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 3.5 ounce package of instant vanilla pudding, 2 cups of milk, 1 stick of unsalted butter melted, 2 large eggs beaten, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 8 cups of all-purpose flour. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is add the 2 tablespoons of sugar to the water, so that will activate the yeast. And then we will add our 2 packets of yeast to the sugar water. So you'll want to stir that so it's combined completely. And we will let that sit until it starts foaming. If the yeast starts foaming, then we know that the yeast is alive and it will make the dough rise. In the stand-up mixer, I'm going to start adding the other ingredients. We're going to start with 2 cups of milk, 1 stick of melted butter, I'll go ahead and turn on the mixer and start blending that together. Add in the package of instant vanilla pudding. The 2 eggs. And a teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to add in the yeast mixture. Alright, at this point in time, it's time to start adding in the flour. Basically going to do right around 1 cup at a time. Start it out on a low setting, the mixer, so that it doesn't blow flour everywhere. Of course, I had the wrong attachment on there. I need the flour hook, so I had to go back and put that on there and go back to adding flour a little bit at a time. It is a process. I mean, it takes some time, and that's a lot of flour. We're going to be adding 8 cups altogether, and this is a 5-quart mixer, so it's difficult to get it all in there, but it will fit. If you have a smaller mixer, I would highly recommend maybe only doing a half recipe. It's time to shut it off, get the dough off the hook, and then we'll need to prepare the surface so we can knead in. It's a little bit tacky, so I felt like I needed to throw some flour down and knead in a little bit more flour to make it a little less tacky. And that's what I'm doing right now. Just work that flour in real good. Knead it in there. And now it's time to put it into a greased pan. We'll cover that with wrap, and then we'll let it set for an hour and let it rise. Should rise to about double its size, which is going to be about all the way up to the top of that bowl. I'll set it for 1 hour and we're good to go. While that's doing its thing, it's time to make the filling for the cinnamon rolls. You'll have 2 cups of brown sugar and 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. And we'll mix it in a small bowl. Now the brown sugar I'm working with, it sure seems damp. It's not very dry. It's really moist, and so I originally took a whisk out and tried to whisk it, and I realized that's not going to work out very well because of the moisture in the brown sugar. So I went ahead and got a fork and finished mixing it with a fork. Every other time I've done this, I've used a whisk, but for some reason this time, brand new batch of brown sugar I just opened, and it was just really moist. I don't know why, but we're gonna get those blended together, and it'll be ready for when we are. It's time to add that. All right, it's been about an hour. The dough has risen twice its size. It's time to punch it down and work the air out of it. So I'm going to flour my hand, and I think I've got it done well enough, but I don't. And so, of course, it sticks to me. So I'm going to have to put a little more flour on and punch it down again. Um, it, when it comes to flour, man, I can make a mess. And that's just how I roll. And now we're going to cover that back up, and we're going to let it rise for about another 30 minutes. In the meantime, it's time to start flouring my surface that I'm going to roll out the dough. So I roll out I spread the flour on the surface, and eventually the dough is going to be ready. I'm going to take that dough and I'm going to dump it out in the middle of it, and start rolling this out so that we can add the brown sugar and cinnamon, the filling. I'm going to use my hands first, and then I'm going to go with the rolling pin. When you are done, it should be around 34 inches long by 21 inches wide. That's most generally, it's right around in that area. Does it have to be perfect? No. But to give you an idea of the size. So there it is. Now it's time to add the melted butter. I like to pour it on there, and then I'll take a brush and try to brush it around, make it even, so that there's the same amount of butter all over the whole entire surface. So I'm going to spread it the best I can and prepare it for the brown sugar and cinnamon. Now, most generally when I've done this, I've used a sifter, and a sifter is a fantastic way of spreading this out, and it makes it so even. But once again, I've got the problem with that moist brown sugar that's clogging it up real bad. So I'm eventually just going to have to quit using the sifter and spread it with my hands. And we're going to get a few more clumps, but clumps aren't too bad. I mean, you get in one of those clumps when you're eating a cinnamon roll, and it's amazing. It tastes fantastic. So anyhow, that's how it's going to turn out. Get the brown sugar and cinnamon spread all over, and at this point we can go ahead and start rolling it. I just start at this end here and just start rolling it up, and just go back and forth and turn it into basically a snake, and it's going to be ready to cut into pieces here soon. All right, now it's ready to cut into pieces. First thing I do is I cut the ends off because they're all jacky wamped. So then I'm going to make some larger cinnamon rolls. I'm going to make these about 2 inches wide. This first bunch, and then the other ones I'm going to make about 1.25 inch wide, just to have different size cinnamon rolls. So the first pan is going to be the bigger ones, and I think I can fit 8 into this pan. This is a greased pan. I use the butter off of the butter wrappers to spread all over the pan. So this is going to be about 8. That's going to be the bigger cinnamon rolls, and we'll set that aside. Now I'm going to cut up the smaller ones, and should be quite a few of these. You know, I like a big cinnamon roll, but not everybody does, and I'm not just baking for myself, so this is going to have a lot more in it, but they're going to be smaller. They still taste just as good, though. I have to be honest, when my wife sees the flour all over the counter, she knows there is a disaster in the waiting. I am pretty good at making a total mess with flour. I clean it up though for the most part. All right, we're going to wrap them and we're going to set them in a warm place and let them rise for about 20 minutes. There they are after they have risen for 20 minutes. They're ready to put into the oven. I've got the oven set at, I believe, 350, and they're going to bake for 20 minutes. In the meantime, it is time to make the icing while those are baking. I want the icing to be ready. We're going to need 3 cups of powdered sugar, a stick of unsalted butter, a bar of a bar of cream cheese, 4 tablespoons of milk, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And I'll start adding those in. There went the butter, there went the cream cheese. I'm going to combine them together in the mixer and get that going. Have to work it down from the side a little bit from time to time because it's going to rise up. And just get a spatula out and work it down the side. Then I'm going to add the teaspoon of vanilla. Get that mixed in real good. And then we can start adding the powdered sugar. And I try to go about 1 cup at a time. And you want to work on that low setting, otherwise you're going to have powdered sugar all over the house. So just a little bit at a time, low setting. When it gets mixed in a little bit, then you can turn it up a little bit higher. Now once we get the powdered sugar mixed in real well, it's time to add the milk. I'm going to go 2 tablespoons at a time, then mix, and then go the other 2 tablespoons. For some reason, if I felt like it was too watery, I would not put the other 2 tablespoons in. You only want to put in what you need. And 4 tablespoons most generally is perfect. But, there's been times where it wasn't. So give that a good mix, and it will be ready when the cinnamon rolls come out of the oven. I want to be able to ice the cinnamon rolls as soon as they come out of the oven. I feel like the heat from the cinnamon rolls is going to make that spread a little easier and more evenly. Here's the cinnamon rolls when they came out of the oven. Now it's time to put the icing on it, and I'm sorry that this bowl is in the way, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm going to put a little dab on each one of them, then I'm going to come back and do them again, then I'm going to come back and do them again until it's all done. I just want to get an equal amount on each and every cinnamon roll. You know, this frosting's really good, and it goes very well with the cinnamon rolls. And when you're done, this is what you get. And that's what you get to eat. Hope you all enjoyed the video.